Hey, what's up, comrades? We're back for volume 23 of Fairy Tale. We're going to pick up right in the exciting moment when the worlds collide here. So we have the main body of the crew riding the monster up to the island, and Gajil fighting Lily, and then the monster slams into the Lacrima Island, and then all the crew, the fairy tale guys, they start pushing back against the island as well. And then Gajil stops the fight with Lily and jumps down as well. Lily starts freaking out, telling them they can't do it, they can't stop anything. And Natsu's like, we're going to do it. We can do anything. And the island kind of hits the Extilla Island, because we see a little bit of a breakup, and we see our friends Happy's parents talking a little bit about that. Then back to the crowd with Wendy and Carla. They're yelling some more at the people and whatnot, and then someone tries to throw a rock, and this guy, who's this guy? Nadi, Minister Nadi, he jumps in the way, and the people start arguing about the queen, and then we see the queen, and she shows up, and she's like this beautiful cat lady with like this huge robe and everything. But she reveals that she's just a regular cat lady with like one wing, and that she's not actually a god, and she doesn't have any special powers or anything. And everyone's like, and then the nobles, like the elders, say this is our fault. And then there's like back and forth about her not having powers and not actually being able to do anything, and her feeling bad. And then Carla picks up a sword, and Wendy tells her not to do anything, not to get revenge, and Carla's like yelling at the queen, and the queen's like apologizing or whatever, and then Carla's like crying, and she's like, we have to stop that island for our homeland. And then she flies off, and then Nadi, is it just Nadi? What did I just say? Anyway, the minister guy, he flies off too. Which leads us back to the rest of the fairy tale crew, and then Carla shows up, starts pushing, Nadi starts pushing, and then the whole of Extelia with Wendy in tow like starts pushing as well. And at that point, Lily, Panther Lily, he starts thinking about when he got exiled from the kingdom because he rescued like a human boy and saved his life. And so he goes down and he starts, he grabs the queen because she falls because she's only got one wing, and he's like crying, and he's like talking about his homeland and everything. And then everyone starts pushing, and the Lacrima Island's still shoving into the whole thing. And then everyone's like screaming and pushing and yelling, and it's like it seems like everything's gonna go bad. Like there's no way they can actually stop this thing. And then woo, the whole Lacrima Island just like disappears, and everyone's like, "Nani desu ka?" And it's missed again, and he did it. He spent this whole time finding a large enough like ether source so that he could teleport the entire fairy tale Lacrima back to Earthworld. And then he pulls off the mask, and it's Jalil, as we know, but then he says that he's the human boy that Lily saved. So he's the like Jalil from this world, right? So that's why he looks like Jalil from like the other world, because he is Jalil, but he's the Jalil of this world. And then everyone's like super excited, and we find out he's the prince. He's the prince of the kingdom. He's the son of the king, right? And Lily's like, my prince, and he's smiling, and then he gets shot in like the gut by Bad Urza, like Nightwalker or whatever. It's the whole of the kingdom's army like goes up there. Gajil or Mystigan tells her to stop, and she's like, no. And then the king starts talking, and he's creating he's like got his like mecha dragon that's powered by magic, and he's like losing his mind, and he's shouting, and then they're shouting back, and then they start turning all the Extelia cats into Lacrima to use for their magic, and it becomes like complete chaos. And then the dragon, the mecha dragon, like fires this powerful thing that Mystigan has to like defend against and like reflect back, but then he gets jacked and he starts falling to the ground. It's like so fucking good, and the king's like screaming and laughing, and then the dragon slayers do some badass like attacks, and we get like a nice painting shot from Wendy. I love this manga so much. And then Gajil, Wendy, and Natsu land, and they're ready to battle because they're dragon slayers. So even this thing's like anti-magic, which I didn't mention before, but yeah, it's like anti-magic. They can still fight, and so they start fighting, and they're actually able to do damage, even though it's like a little bit of damage. Wendy's like a supporter class, so she keeps giving them like more power and like healing and all that stuff. And then so the king targets her with these missiles, but then Natsu and Gajil and Wendy like defeat the missiles. And then he's laughing because he does some super fire attack, but of course that just helps Natsu, and he absorbs all the fire. And the Gajil's like eating the mech because of his iron dragon slaying. And then the king activates like Droma Anim Black Heaven mode, which is like super strong, and he's like absorbing all the magic that the kingdom saved up. Meanwhile, Mystigan and Lily and the Queen are all hanging out together. Lily's okay. He's got, it's anime. So he got blasted pretty good, but he's going to be all right. And him and Mystigan head back to the capital. They have some other stuff to do while Natsu and the Dragon Slayers and Fairy Tail all take care of that business. Let's see. So they're Lucy and Urza and crew. They're facing off against the entire kingdom's forces, and there's no way they can like fight them all. But then Urza's like, go down and help Natsu, or help do what you can. I'll take care of up here. And so she starts just like wrecking shop on all these like monsters that are flying around, and then her and Urza, Nightwalker, they start fighting in the sky. Meanwhile, the rest of them, Lucy, Gray, I can't remember the little friend's name, and the cats, they hit the ground, and then they start fighting with the army there, and they're getting beat up pretty good. We go back and forth. We get like a super fucking awesome like anime shonen battle between the Urzas, and then the king and the dragon slayers are all going back and forth, and like, it's just like shonen anime battle. It's super good. We get a nice painting shot of Lucy as she's getting beat up. Loki shows up to help too. There's just a lot of back and forth with that. And then all of a sudden, Fairy Tail shows up. Like, not our Fairy Tail, but the Fairy Tail of this world. And they're like, let's do this. And so we get some more sexy Lucy, which is excellent. And then they help Lucy up and Gray, and then they start fighting. And, their powers combine. They start really getting at it with the army. And that's the last of that. We go back to Urza, and we spend like a whole chapter with just like Urza and Bad Urza like fighting and blowing stuff up and smashing and like running out of magic. And we get bras and like... all that fucking fan service in the world is so good. And they like crash the island they're on, and they're like completely running out of magic, and they start just like slap fighting each other. And then Urza is of course using the power of friendship and love to convince Bad Urza to stop being such an asshole. And then finally they end up in like a crater, and they're talking together. And so Mystigan and Lily, Panther Lily enter like the main chamber of like the castle, and Mystigan's going to turn all the magic off. He's going to send all the magic to like a different world. And Panther Lily's like, back over at the Dragon Slayers are having like a real hard time. Wendy and Gajil and Natsu are all beat the shit out of. And then, but Natsu, of course, is Natsu. So after a little more fight, okay, so there's some more fighting. They combine forces to do like a super breath attack. And then the guy like jumps out of the way. And so starts beating him up some more, and then he's like, aha, and then they look like they're completely defeated, but of course Natsu is never defeated, so then he gets up, and he roars into the sky, and he's like, and they're like, how, and then Gajil's like, how are you doing this? You're out of magic, and Natsu's like, I'm going to borrow magic from the future. It's like fucking awesome. And so Gajil's like, I'm going to do it too. And so Natsu starts fighting the thing by himself, and then Gajil goes and impales the foot of the dragon into the ground, and then Natsu's like, Wendy, hit me with your most powerful like wind attack. And so she uses like future magic as well to like hit him, and he creates like a fire whirlwind, and then he uses that, and like he blasts right through the center of the dragon mech, and we get like an awesome shot of like Ignil blasting through, and then we get another awesome shot of Natsu who like blasted through the dragon mech, grabbed the king and like slams him into the ground behind it as like the mech collapses. And then Natsu, he looks badass as hell, and then the king's like losing his mind because he sees like Ignil and Gajil and Wendy's dragons, and they're all roaring at him, and he like passes the fuck out in like horror. And then Gajil and Natsu and Wendy are like, all right, out of magic. And then not only are they out of magic, everything's out of magic. We saw the magic flying up to the world because Gajil did the thing where he got rid of the magic. So all the magic weapons are going away, and everyone's freaking out. And then the main capital is so full of like magic devices that they're all disappearing. And so the people start freaking out. And then the army runs away, and then there's like all this crazy nonsense. And then Gajil, or not Gajil, what's his name? Mystigan. It's Jalil and Panther Lily start talking about how Mystigan's going to be like the enemy, and Panther Lily's going to take over as like the ruler. He's going to go out and he's going to punish Mystigan as, for taking all the magic away so that he can be the new leader of the people. And they go back and forth, and like they eventually come to terms like, okay, we got to figure out something else because neither of us want to like be neither of us want to sacrifice the other person. And so they don't. But then they start hearing like crazy, like, oh, this guy runs and he's like, oh, there's a rebellion. There's the three of them. And then we have Natsu dressed up like a demon, and he's got the king tied to like a broken tree, and him and Gajil and Wendy are like just causing problems and smashing things and trying to scare people. And then Mystigan's like, what are you doing? Stop it. And Natsu's like, oh, it's the prince. I am the demon Ignil. I will destroy everything. Ah, ha, 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 ha. And then they're like, what the fuck's going on? And then the Nadi Sama from Extilla, the cat guy, he comes down and he's like, oh, I heard your plan, and I went over and told it to Natsu, and so we came up with like even better plan. And they're like, what is this plan? And he's like, don't worry about it, we got it all figured out. And then Mystigan like leaps over to fight Natsu, and that wraps up volume 23, which is fucking excellent. It was mostly fighting, which is always the best. So go ahead, like, share, subscribe, comment, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.